Before listen, lock your door.
Subscribe for daily horror story.
First story.
Uncle Rick used to say if the woods go completely silent, like someone hit a mute switch on the whole world, don't breathe. Don't move, and whatever you do, don't unzip your tent. I wish I had listened. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend. I needed to clear my head after a breakup and some work drama, so I packed light, took Friday off, and drove 6 hours into central Appalachia. Not the touristy trails I'm talking, fire road access, no cell signal, bring your kind of wilderness. I used a hand-marked map I got from a guy in a gear shop in Virginia. He called the spot Claiborne Hollow and told me it was perfect for solitude. He didn't mention anything else. I hiked in around noon, found a flat patch on a ridge above the hollow, and set up camp. No sign of other hikers, no trash, not even boot prints. I felt like the only person for miles. It was perfect, until night fell. The first weird thing was the quiet. You camp enough, you get used to forest sounds, bugs, frogs, wind, the occasional coyote. But that night, sometime after I zipped up my sleeping bag, the entire world just stopped making noise. No wind, no leaves moving, no chirping, just total, unnatural silence. At first I thought maybe a predator was nearby. Bears can shut a forest up, but there were no heavy footsteps, no grunting or sniffing, just the kind of stillness that feels ... planned. I reached for the zipper of my tent, paused, and remembered something Uncle Rick once told me during a hunting trip. If it goes that quiet, it's not nature, it's waiting. I lay there, frozen, every sense cranked to max. And then I heard it, a footstep, but not like a boot. It was too light, too careful. It crunched once on dried leaves, stopped, then again closer this time, and then it circled. Slow, deliberate steps moved around the tent. Whatever it was, it wasn't rushing. It was studying, measuring. I held my breath as the steps paused, right outside the entrance flap. Then came the second sound, a clicking, like two rocks being tapped together. Once, twice, then a rhythm, faster, in threes. Click, 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 click. Then silence again. I didn't sleep. I lay there until dawn, eyes wide open, heart never slowing down. Eventually birds started calling again, like someone hit play on the world. But I didn't move until the sun was all the way up. When I finally unzipped the tent, I stepped out expecting to see nothing. Maybe a few paw prints. Maybe I'd been half asleep. But right in front of my tent flap, arranged in a perfect circle, were 7 tiny stones. And next to the stones, stuck upright in the dirt, was a pine needle. Just one, pointing at the tent like an arrow. I kicked the circle away, packed everything in 10 minutes, and started hiking out. The whole trail felt wrong, like the woods had shifted overnight. Trees looked different, landmarks were gone, even the light filtering through the canopy felt darker somehow. I had a compass and a map, and I still got turned around twice. Then I saw something worse than any weird sound or footprint, about a mile from where I camped. I passed a dead tree with a long, clean gash across the bark about 6 feet up, horizontal, too straight to be from lightning or age. Inside the exposed wood, something had carved a word, stay. I didn't. I moved faster. By late afternoon, I found the fire road and reached my car. But the nightmare didn't end there. When I unlocked the back hatch, I found my rolled sleeping pad sliced open like it had been unzipped with a knife. Inside the foam, more pine needles. Dozens of them, arranged in a spiral. I never saw anyone. Not a person, not an animal. But something out there watched me all night. Walked around my tent. Left a message. And I've seen that spiral again. Once. On my porch, railing in dust. Once scratched into the rear window of my car. And once just last week, drawn on the steamed mirror in my locked bathroom. I don't go camping anymore. Not alone. Not anywhere near those woods. But sometimes, when I wake up around 3 a.m., I swear I hear that clicking sound again. And when the world goes quiet, I don't breathe. Next time you're alone in the woods and everything goes silent, unzip the tent, don't even blink. Just wait and pray it moves on.
Second story.
My older cousin once said if you find a lake deep in the mountains that doesn't echo, you turn around and leave. No skipping stones, no swimming, no camping, just leave. I thought he was screwing with me, but after what happened, I'll never doubt him again. It was late September when I took the trip. I was 2 weeks into a solo photography project, documenting forgotten lakes and fire roads in southern Appalachia. I had topo maps from the 80s, a compass, a decent pack, and too much confidence. I wanted to get shots of a place that didn't show up on Google Maps. Something real. Something unspoiled. I found it after a 6-mile detour off an old ranger path. The trail dipped into a narrow valley, then opened up to reveal a small, glass-still lake no wider than a football field. No pier, no cabins, no tire tracks, just thick forest surrounding black water that reflected the sky a little too clearly. There was no wind, no insects, no birdsong, but I'd seen quiet places before. I chalked it up to luck, or maybe a storm rolling in. I dropped my pack, pulled out the tripod, and started taking shots. When I clapped to check the echo, nothing came. Back, not a bounce, not a delay, just silence. I tried again, louder. Still nothing. That was weird. Even the densest forests echo something. The way sound behaves is predictable, but here it just died, like the lake swallowed it. I took a photo, one frame, then another, but when I checked the preview on my camera, the lake looked off. The trees and sky reflected perfectly, but the water itself seemed to smooth like someone had painted over it in post. No ripples, no flaws, and in the second frame, something was different. In the far corner of the lake, there was a shape faint, long vertical, like a figure standing just beneath the surface. I zoomed in, nothing. It was gone in the next frame. I told myself it was a trick of light, that I was tired, but I still set up camp 30 yards uphill, well above the lake's edge. That night, the silence was unbearable. No wind through trees, no owls, just total, pressing quiet. At one point, I stood outside my tent and shouted across the water, half to prove I was alone, half to hear something familiar. My voice fell flat before it even crossed the lake. Then I heard a splash, a single, massive splash, like someone had jumped in, feet first. I grabbed my flashlight and scanned. The shoreline, nothing. The water was still black glass. I told myself it was a fish, a log, anything. But I didn't sleep. Around 3:40 a.m., I heard footsteps, slow, squelching ones like bare feet on wet moss coming up the slope toward my tent. Then they stopped. Right outside, I held my breath. Then I heard it, a voice whispering through the nylon. Not a question, not a scream, just a sound, like breath trying to remember how to be human. I see you, that was it. I didn't unzip the tent. I waited. The silence returned. When dawn broke, I emerged, heart pounding. There were no tracks, no signs of anyone. But at the edge of the lake, I found something that hadn't been there before. A shirt, folded neatly on a flat rock, soaked but clean, like it had just been taken off. And resting on top of the shirt, my second camera battery. I hadn't unpacked it yet. Something had gone into my pack. Something had brought it out. I packed in 10 minutes. Didn't eat. Didn't drink. I hiked. 5 hours straight and didn't stop until I hit the Ranger Road. But the story doesn't end there. When I got back to my apartment, I uploaded the photos. All of them were fine except the 2 I took at the lake. The first one was black. The second was worse. Same scene, same angle, but now something stood on the lake. Not in the lake. On it, pale, thin, like a reflection with no source. Its head was tilted, and its arms hung too long, and beneath it, the water was no longer smooth. It was rippling outward, like it was coming closer. I tried deleting the file. My computer froze. Then the screen glitched, one frame flickered, showing the image again, but zoomed in on the figure's face. There was no face, just black. Since that day, I've been mailed to things. No return address. The first was a blank photo print. High quality, glossy dot. It's the lake, my lake, but the reflection in the water isn't mine. The second package arrived this morning. A soaked shirt, folded, just like the one on the rock. Next time you find a lake that doesn't echo, don't take pictures, don't speak, and above all, don't stay until nightfall.
Third story.
Dad used to say never follow a trail that loops in on itself. If you pass the same broken log twice but didn't turn around, turn back immediately. There's something wrong with the woods there. I found out too late. It was supposed to be a quick overnight trip. I had 2 days off, a new ultralight tent, and a trail map from a ranger station that hadn't seen updates since the 90s. I picked a forgotten loop trail deep in northern Appalachia, just off an old Forest Service road. No traffic, no hikers, just solitude. The map marked the loop at 6 miles. Easy terrain, dense forest, some old stone ruins along the way, perfect for photos. I parked at the empty trailhead around 3 p.m, signed the old trail register. Last entry was from 3 weeks ago, and started walking. First 3 miles were unremarkable muddy switchbacks, scattered birch and pine. I passed the ruins, the moss-covered foundation of what looked like an old ranger cabin. Then the trees grew denser, darker, sunlight thinned out. That's when I started seeing the white strips. They were tied to branches thin, cloth-like shreds, weathered but deliberate. Someone had been marking a trail, but not this trail. They weren't near switchbacks or forks, just hanging randomly, sometimes from dead trees that looked like they hadn't been touched in years. I snapped a photo of one, pale fabric, twisted, and stained faintly red at the bottom. Probably rust from rain. Probably by mile 4, I was sure I should have started circling back. But the trail kept going forward, no turns, no markers. The forest felt wrong. Still, I pushed on, figuring I'd loop soon enough. That's when I saw the log. It was split down the middle, rotted from the inside, half covered in moss impossible to miss. I remembered stepping over it around mile 2. Now it was in front of me again, same angle, same rot, same piece of blue plastic wedged in the bark. I stood there, blinking, trying to make sense of it. I hadn't turned. I never turned. I looked behind me. The trail was gone. Not overgrown, not hidden. Just ... Gone. Only trees behind me. No dirt path. No boot prints. Nothing. I spun back toward the log. There was now a strip of white cloth tied to a branch just above. I swear, it hadn't been there 10 seconds ago. I backed away, breathing heavy. Then I turned and ran, not fast, just enough to feel like I was moving. The forest shifted around me. Trees didn't look the same twice. My compass needle spun, USELESSLY. 10 minutes later, I stumbled into a clearing. Flat, circular, ringed with stones like someone tried to keep something in, not out. In the middle, a fire pit, still smoking. There were no footsteps, no ashes on the rocks. Just that faint tendril of smoke rising perfectly straight into the airless canopy. I didn't call out. I didn't check for gear. One kept walking by now. Every instinct screamed to turn around, to retrace my steps. But every step forward led me somewhere new, somewhere worse. That's when I heard it breathing. Not mine. Not an animal. Too deliberate. Too close. It circled. Milo, slow, shifting between sides. But I saw nothing, no movement, just the sound of something wanting to be heard. Then it spoke, not out loud, not in my ears, inside my head, back again. 3 words, spoken not in voice, but in presence like a cold hand inside my skull. I turned and ran blindly. The forest blurred. I crashed through brush, past rocks I could have sworn I saw hours ago. The trees started to repeat. Same gnarled branch, same claw-like stump. Then I saw the log. Again, same plastic, same moss. This time someone was sitting on it. Their back faced me. They were wearing my jacket. Exact same jacket, same rip in the shoulder. Same stain on the sleeve, but I was still wearing it. I stood frozen, breathing shallow, and the figure slowly turned its head too slowly. The face was wrong, not monstrous, not bloody, just me, my face, but older, gried, smiling wide and wrong. And when its mouth opened, the voice was my own. Loop's not for walking, it's for feeding. Then it stood, and I ran. Somewhere in my panic, I tore off the trail, through thorns, down a steep ridge. I don't know how long I ran. My legs burned, lungs on fire, branches slashing skin. Then, suddenly, I broke through to the road, the trailhead, my car. I nearly collapsed, getting the key in. But before I drove off, I turned back. The woods were quiet. Then a shape stepped out from behind a tree. It wore my jacket, still smiling. I didn't wait. I drove 4 hours before I stopped to breathe. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've woken up twice with dirt under my fingernails. Once, I found a white strip of cloth tied to my bedroom doorknob. And last night, when I passed a mirror, my reflection was just a second behind me. Next time you find yourself on a trail that won't loop back, don't keep walking. Don't turn around, just run, before something steps out that looks like you.